He's getting older.
You gotta be raping me!
Oh, hit the full button!
But not wiser.
Pour some sugar on me!
This is The Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to The Lefty Show. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with all of you today, the 15th of July in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014. Welcome all to The Lefty Show, episode number 56. Hope to put on a great show for you all today. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to everybody for watching, liking, and favoriting on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that's been following me on Twitter at Lefty643 is where you can go to do that. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show, especially everybody that's been sharing the show with your friends, family, or coworkers. Easier to do now that we've got an RSS feed at leftyshow.podbean.com, or search The Lefty Show on your favorite Android or iTunes podcasting app. Thank you to everybody that's been doing that, helping us climb the charts. The tide is a-rising for The Lefty Show, climbing the iTunes comedy charts, and I thank you all for doing that. Just go to the iTunes store and search The Lefty Show if you're there. If you're on Android, go to your favorite podcasting app again and search The Lefty Show. All subscriptions do help out. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions is where you can go to donate to the show if you want to help out, and I thank you, everybody, for doing that. And a big thank you to everybody that was so kind yesterday, wishing me happy birthday and the whatnot. I thank you all for doing that. I had an absolutely fantastic birthday. I had a lot of fun walking around and doing all the things and taking a day after the show, taking a day to myself and all of you on Twitter, again, at Lefty643, and all of you in the comments of the video on YouTube. You were all really nice, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that sent me birthday wishes and helped getting older be a little bit easier. You all made it a worthwhile endeavor to be another year older instead of pretending that perhaps I'm not as old as I am. I'm old, and it's okay. And you guys made it enjoyable, and I thank you all for that. It was a great time. I had a great time with my girlfriend. She showed me a good time, and another thing I was doing yesterday. This is the kind of person that I am. On my birthday, I was going to go out and treat myself to a PlayStation 4. I had seen on, I believe it was on Deadspin, a repost on Deadspin, about some deal that was available. Like they were celebrating some app. I learned later Target was celebrating the existence of some app for a year with 15% off pretty much all of their electronics. Everything in their electronics section was 15% off except for DSLR cameras. That was the only caveat. And so I figured, I did some math, and I said, well, I want to be part of the Destiny beta, kind of. I'm thinking about it, and this is gets into my somewhat impulsive nature. I'm like an impulsive tease. I feel an impulse, and I'll be like, I'll research how to do it. I'll research like, oh shit, well, I can buy a PlayStation 4 outright right now, have it one day shipped. I'll have it tomorrow with games, pre-order Destiny, be part of the Destiny beta, stream the Destiny beta, blah, 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 blah. Bob's your uncle, whatever the rest of that, whatever the rest of that axiom is. And I got myself a PlayStation 4, and I'll have it all done. I'll have it all done. I'll have it all in my head. I'll have it all budgeted out and say, yeah, I'll do this. And I could go and pull the trigger on it right now. I might even have it in a cart and like on eBay or Amazon or any other online store. And I'll say, no, that's not a good idea. And I'll stop. It's like an impulsive tease. It's like impulsive blue balls. If you're an impulsive nature, when you walk down, when you walk to the end of the supermarket aisle and you're about to check out, and there's all those candies and gums and sodas and magazines, and they're all there because they're things that you don't want to go to the candy aisle. You don't want to go to the candy aisle because you feel like a fat ass. But when you're at the end, when you're checking out and you see individual Snickers bars and not the 12-pack of Snickers bar, bars. You see a single Snickers bar, and you say, yeah, I haven't had a Snickers in a while. Might as well pick up one of them sons of bitches. Own a soda too? Bam, baby. Yeah. Own a People. Oh, man, the National Enquirer is sweet. I can get my celeb gossip on while I'm servicing my chocolate and caffeine fetish. And those are impulse buys, and they're there to play on your impulses. And you say, And I'm the kind of person, and I don't know what this means, I go there and I'm like, ooh, Kit Kats, or ooh, Reese's. And I'm like, oh, man, I haven't had a Reese's in a while. This would probably taste really good, this Reese's. Man, I want to get me some of that Reese's. And then I won't actually reach for it, but my mind will reach out for it and say, ooh, I want to get some of that. I'm going to get me some of that fucking Reese's. And I say, nope. No, you don't need to do that. That's an extra $2. Not that $2 is a big deal. And it's an extra 400 calories that you don't need. And don't do it. And I don't. And so similarly, I'm an impulse blue baller. I guess an impulsive cock block is probably the better way to put it. I will cock block my impulse. It'll get close. My impulse will be talking to the girl, right? The hot girl, or I guess I'd be talking to the hot girl, which represents impulse in this metaphor. This is a really fucked up metaphor, but I've already waded into this pool. I'm gonna stick with it. The girl represents impulse, the object of my impulse. I am being impulsive. I'm talking to her. And then, I guess I would be the fat friend that comes. Damn it. This is like the third iteration of this thing already. Son of a bitch. So, shit. Okay, so then I guess I would be the fat friend that walks in and say, you don't need, what are we doing tonight? Where are we going to get food after the bar? Hey, how are you? What do you do? Oh, you do that. How much do you make? Oh, Cindy, Cindy, let's go dance. Cindy, excuse me, sir, excuse me, I want to talk to my friend. Can I talk to my friend? Why can't I talk to my friend? She's my friend, not yours. I know what you're after. Cindy, I need to talk to you. Cindy, let's go talk. That's me cock blocking impulse. So I guess me in this metaphor, the male in this metaphor would be my id, and my super ego, I guess, would be the fat chick cock blocking, and the hot chick that is trying to be getting to get her panties dropped. It would be the PlayStation 4. So anyway, that's an insight into the crazy mind that is Lefty, where I talk about my impulse using a metaphor of trying to pick up a chick at a bar and being cock blocked by her fat cunty friend. Cindy, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's not right for you. You don't need to. No, we've got to do stuff tomorrow. No, you can't. No more drinks, Cindy. Cindy, we got to go. God. See you later. Nice talking to you. Bye. So we go into Target. I say, Katie, it's my fucking birthday. This is how I talk to her. Katie, it's my fucking birthday. I make proclamations all the time. I just walk into the bedroom. Katie, today's my birthday, and it being my birthday, I'm going to treat myself to a PlayStation 4. And I made the case. I made the pitch. I said it's 15% off with 8.5% sales tax. I'm still getting it at a cheaper rate than I would anywhere online. It's cheaper than anywhere online. The discount outpaces the sales tax. And all right, so I get to feel good about it because I like supporting brick and mortar stores when I can, when I have the ability to support them and support the state of Illinois by paying sales tax, an exorbitant amount of sales tax. I'll do it. I say, okay, I will go pay the sales tax because the state of Illinois has got to get their nut, and Target's got to get their nut for employing, having this nice air conditioned store and having all these employees walking around in their red shirts and beige pants. Apparently that's the uniform, but it's not uniform. It's like, bring your own red shirt from home. We're not giving you one. And so you get a bunch of different weird pigments of red on people at the checkout line in Target. And I look and I say, where's the uniformity? That's how they're different. It's like the middle class Walmart. So I made the case. Katie said, okay, probably just, okay, you idiot. She probably listened to it. She probably listened to my pitch, and she said, this idiot's already convinced himself that he's going to do it. And nothing that I say is going to stop this idiot, my boyfriend, from being or doing something stupid. So we get to Target, and we're walking around. And I asked the guy, I'm like, do you guys have a sale going on? Because I didn't know. Apparently, it was only in store. And I'm like, do you guys got a sale going on? He said, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm sitting there looking at a PlayStation 4. And it's not like I'm mortgaging my future to get. I mean, I have the money. I do. I'm not going to break myself to get this. But I'm looking at it, and I'm walking around. I'm looking at the games list, and in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. Am I really about to spend $400+ more, probably closer to $5, certainly closer to $5, because I got to get a PlayStation Plus thing, and I'm going to get some game or a game or two. Am I really about to spend that just so I can maybe be a part of the Destiny beta and stream it? By the way, streams are returning soon. Streams are returning shortly, twitch.tv/lefty643. Be on the lookout for that. And I sat there, and Katie was doing the thing to make sure that we could get the discount. She had the app and was doing all the stuff. And I was just sitting there looking at it. And I felt that voice coming in to cock-block my impulse again. Here comes the fat chick waddling over, spilling her drink on you. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Do you really... Hi. My name's Sindel. What are you doing? Do you excuse me, PlayStation. Excuse me, PlayStation. Sir. Excuse me, I don't know you. I know her. I know PlayStation. I need to go talk to her. And I felt that voice, that fat bitch waddling up. And I was sitting there looking, and I said, am I really about to do this? And all of a sudden, I had buyer's remorse before I even bought the fucking thing. And Katie, sweet as she is, apple of my eye, she stood up, and I looked at her, and she was like, are you going to get it? And I looked at her, and I said, I don't know. This seems pretty impulsive, doesn't it? And she looked me dead in the eye and said, yes. And then I looked at her, and I said, okay, let's go. And I just walked out. I mean, we had to go look at some other stuff, but she looked at me. She seized on an opportunity to control her idiot. And I finally, the drunken bitch cockblock in my brain said, hey, you're being impulsive. Maybe you should get a second opinion on this. I looked at my girlfriend and said, this is impulsive, isn't it? She said, yeah. I said, okay, then it's probably not a good idea. And we walked out. Even though I could have had the immediate gratification of brand new electronics, which, trust me, is a fantastic feeling. When you have brand new electronics, it's like Christmas. It's like when brand new electronics, when you walk out of a store with brand new electronics, or brand new electronics show up at your doorstep, or in your P.O. box, or in your whatever, it's like a mini Christmas. You get that one day, you're like, oh my goodness. Shit, it might even be a week, because you're like, brand new electronics. You get to play around and set it all up, and you take it out of the box, and it's all new, and you gotta take off that thin piece of clear plastic that they use to protect the glossy black parts of electronic components, the black plastic parts. You peel that off, and it's nice and pristine. You're like, brand new electronics. And I denied myself of that on the spot, cock-blocked my own impulse. Because I didn't want to be impulsive. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not getting a PlayStation 4. It doesn't mean I don't want to be or it doesn't mean I'm going to stop my quest to be a part of the Destiny beta, because it does interest me. The game does. But I think it was best at that moment to say, holy shit, I'm being really impulsive right now. And should I really spend $500 on an impulse? You can spend $2 on an impulse. Spending $2 on an impulse isn't a big deal. Shit, spending $100 on an impulse, in the grand scheme of things, not a very big deal. But when you start talking about 500 bones to really anybody in the reasonable realm of incomes, $500 isn't nothing, isn't anything to squawk at. And to spend that on an impulse and just say, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Probably not a good habit to get into. And so I denied myself the immediate gratification of an impulse buy of a PlayStation 4. It looked nice though. It was there. Could have had it. Could have had my hands on it. Could have walked out the door. But my girlfriend, sweetest girl in the world, was nice enough to say, hey, she seized on an opportunity to control her man, her idiot, as I like to think about it. And as we were walking around again on my birthday, I wanted to bring something up here, bring up a little notion that I saw walking around a nice midsummer day, and walking out in a in a town area, going to get something to eat at a nice outdoor restaurant, and I was walking around. I had to return I wanted to return a cigar that I bought that I thought had mold on it. It turned out to just be plume. I thought that I'd done some cursory research, and what I thought was mold turned out to be plume, or at least so says the guy at the tobacco shop. So any crippling diseases or infections I get now are squarely on his shoulders. But we were walking around, and it's summer, and so a lot of school-aged children are out and about. They're set loose on society, which is really a great thing for YouTubers and streamers, because you can now stream at any time, and usually people which your audience which trends or tends to be school-aged or have school-like commitments are free. They're open. They're anytime. You're like, hey, I'm streaming at noon on a Wednesday, and they're like, yeah, all right, I'm there. But that also applies to female girls. No, to female school-age children. And they were out in force when I was out trying to get lunch on my birthday. And I'm trying to say this without coming off like a creep, but a lot of feminists and women, and that's women with a Y, by the way. A lot of feminists like to say that, society is over-sexualizing women and girls, and, you sexualize everybody. We objectify, men especially objectify women, and that's bad and bad and bad because it leads to all these bad things, which I don't deny in certain cases. However, I want to make the counter-argument that there are many women, girls even, who objectify and sexualize themselves. They do it to themselves. I did not make the 20 or so, or 20 or 30 school-aged girls, as 15, 16, whatever, walking around. I did not make them put on the Daisy Dukes. I did not make them put on the sheer shirts. I didn't make them do that. I had no part. They didn't call me up and say, hey, Lefty, can I put this on today? Yeah. I had no part in that. And I'm walking around, and there is, if I were to act on, I view it like this. When you walk around in sexually suggestive clothing, it's an invitation to look. It's an invitation to look, and it might even be an invitation to do other things. But of course, you have to negotiate that on some level. Guys, don't just go around touching girls because you think they're inviting you to touch them. They might be open to touching. They might be open to invite you to touch them, but you need to talk to them and kind of like, hey, can I touch you, before you start touching them. But simply put, walking around in short shorts and hot pants and all this stuff, your midriff hanging out and your cleavage showing, and all the things, all the ways, all the little ways that women can show off their figure, their form, their bodies. When you start doing that and you walk around out in public, that is an invitation to look. And but some women would have it both ways. They say, yes, it's good that women can sexualize themselves and be powerful and be confident in their bodies, but don't look at them. But don't objectify them. Don't look at them as objects. They say, well, what the fuck do you want? What do you want now? You can't have both. You can't put out the invitation and then get mad at people for accepting said invitation. It's like if you sent out invitations to a birthday party and then started clobbering people when they showed up at your door at the day of the party. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get off my lawn. Ah, why did you show up for this party? It's like, because you invited me. Similarly, when women walk around dressed provocatively, that's an invitation to look. And some guys will look. I notice I don't look and I don't leer because I have my girlfriend whom I love. No, that was an honest cough. That wasn't a wink and a nod cough. That was an honest cough. I notice, but I don't look. But other guys will. And they will look because you're inviting them to look. And if it's good, they'll look at it. You can't walk around you can't sexualize yourself and then walk around and get mad at people for looking at you being sexual. That's what I hear that a lot in there's a lot of that going on at gaming conventions where, you know, there's VideoCon, Comic-Con, PAX. There's a lot of cosplayers where people dress up as their favorite movie or video game or comic book character. And as I believe it to be, the goal is to look exactly like or as close to as possible. The goal is to look like the object. It's to look like the character from the video game. The one in my mind is I've never played Warhammer 40,000, but I know what their Space Marines look like. And there was a guy I believe in the Netherlands who had just an awesome Warhammer 40K cosplay. He was on some kind of stilts. He was 8.5 feet tall, and he had the big armor thing. It was really, really cool. And there are some girls that do it, women, and they dress up like sexualized female comic book or video game characters. And they're not shy about showing off their skin because that's part of the costume. And I say, okay, all right. The one to keep in your mind is Princess Leia from Return of the Jedi. There's a lot of that at these kind of Comic-Con conventions. Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi when she was Jabba the Hutt's, I don't know, whatever it is. How those two, he looked at her sexually, and that bothered me. Brief aside, if you'll grant me this. When you're making a movie, you want to suspend disbelief. And when Jabba the Hutt, some kind of sloth lizard thing, seized Princess Leia and put her in this bikini outfit to be some kind of sexual object and brought her close and tried to lick her face and was like, ugh. How are those gonna fuck? How is that gonna happen? I looked at that, and even when I first saw it, I said, well, yeah, I mean, it's gross because you got the weird tongue thing, and but he's you know, he's very clearly hinting that, haha, you're going to be my sexual object. How is that gonna work? I mean, I'm not saying that I know how big Jabba the Hutt's cock is. It's just that I don't even know if Jabba the Hutt has a dick. I don't even know if he does. What is it? What is Princess Leia going to do for you, Jabba the Hutt, if you don't have a cock? What is she going to do? And let's assume that you do have a cock. Is it going to be a normal-sized human penis? It can't be your Jabba the fucking Hutt, man. I don't even know what kind of penis that species of animal, whatever the fuck you are, has. But it would be kind of odd if something that large had a penis the size of a normal human being. And it just won't work. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Horses, like a horse cock, maybe. But even then, if you've been to the far reaches of the far corners, dark corners of the internet, even then you know that, no, that doesn't really happen. It's ha ha ha, yeah. It's like you're fucking a horse, but you're not really fucking the horse. It's not happening. It's just because it won't fucking work. Anatomically speaking, it won't work. So anatomically speaking, Jabba the Hutt isn't fucking Princess Leia. And I had a problem because that disbelief shot up in my brain, and it was never dealt with. Not that I really am yearning to see Jabba's dick. But as we all know, as listeners to the show know, everybody has affinity for cock. Everybody has affinity for cock. So a lot of girls dress up and walk around these comic conventions like Princess Leia and Return of the Jedi. And there was a movement not too long ago where female cosplayers, and of course their effeminate male counterparts, who's like, no, I'm one of you, girlfriends. Like one of those really metro dudes that's like, no, women's lib, yeah, the women's lib is great. Okay, dude, what the fuck? Like, never in my life have I seen such a transparent attempt to try to get laid. Never. No. I'm not saying you're gay, because you're probably not gay. You're just trying to get laid, and that is such a transparent attempt and such a quick way to get friend zoned, dude. You're not getting in those panties or whatever it is, latex G-string, whatever those cosplayers are wearing. It's not happening. But there was a movement where it was couched as don't walk up and start touching female cosplayers, which speaks for itself. That's obvious. However, many proponents of the movement were speaking, they were giving their tale of woe about how awful it is to be a female cosplayer because all these men stare at you all day long. And I say, and this was one part, it was echoed time and again, men staring, men leering at you. Yeah, what the fuck? And the movement was to stop it. Stop leering, stop staring, stop touching, And No. I will go with the don't assault. Don't assault. Don't sexually assault. No. However, staring and leering, that's different. You put out the invitation, honey. Guys are going to look. You can't get mad at them because they're staring at you in the green jumpsuit G-string of the female chick from Street Fighter. They're going to look at you. If you've got the body and you're showing it off, they're going to look. But I'm just cosplaying. I'm an actor. Yeah, porn stars are actresses too. And that's what people do. Look at them. People leer. That's what you're going to, if you're going to walk around with your tits hanging out or with your chonch hanging out or you're showing legs and ass and butt cheek and all this stuff, you're going to walk around with that hanging out. People are going to look. Male, even some females, they're going to look. And you can't be mad at them for looking because they didn't make you dress up like that. They didn't make you put on that latex G-string. They didn't make you put on the push-up bra for your double Ds and have them hanging out almost to the nipple. And you say, oh, don't look at me. They didn't make you walk around with your panties hanging out. They didn't make you do that. You did. You have control over how you dress and what you show. And you chose to do it, and now you're walking around chastising people for looking at it. What the fuck that? No, that's no. I draw the line, and it's a very easy line to draw at sexual assault. Very easy. Very easily drawn line. But staring at a female who chose to dress up that way and walk around in public is not sexual assault. It's not visual assault. It's not any bullshit like that. It's you're showing off, and I'm enjoying you showing off. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, well, I'm going to sexualize myself, but don't look at me for sexualizing myself. And back to my original point, another thing that I dislike is that we're in a society where if you're walking around any place in America during a summer and you see those underage girls that are set loose on society walking around in their sexualized outfits, whatever they may be, you're even chastised for looking. You as not even by them, by society. Society, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're looking at girls like that. I say, and what the fuck? They're putting it out there. We have to. I don't mean to rob women of their sexual liberation or their sexual liberties, but when it's illegal for me to even think about, when it even gets illegal to accept the invitation, when I could be, or when a man can be, because of course what women have been arrested or chastised by society for even looking at underage boys or looking at underage women, it's simply it's pretty much a one-way street in our society, but we don't like to talk about that because men are evil and But to me, there seems to be a problem when by no other virtue other than a human's biological age, a female human's biological age, I can be chastised for society and even viewed criminally for looking at an invitation, a sexual invitation, or a sexualized, not sexual, a sexualized visual representation of a female form. There's something wrong with that. And nobody is out there telling the one putting out the invitation, hey, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Because we live in a society now where the police back down on trying to give that 17-year-old boy an injection to get a look at his tumescent cock so that they can take a picture to prove that he distributed child pornography. So they'd create child porn to prove child porn. The police back down from that. But we live in a society where his 15-year-old girlfriend can send willy-nilly naked, semi-naked, surely sexualized pictures all they want. And when a male accepts that invitation, when a man accepts that invitation, well, then that man's in trouble. The women can send out invitations, the underage women, invitations all day. All day. Hey, I'm wearing the booty shorts. I got my underwear hanging out, and I got the legs and the thing and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But don't you look, because not only is it creepy, it can be a fucking crime. And just, what? We accept this nonsensical shit? We accept it. We accept it as a matter of course. Just like, of course, yeah. Don't look at it. It's like, what? Where? Why are you telling them? Don't fucking walk around like that. Again, not that. Okay, because I know somebody's gonna say, "Oh, you say they ask for all this stuff." Well, they're asking for people to look. They're certainly not asking for people to touch, which is again illegal. Very clearly, very easily drawn line at sexual assault. Women aren't asking for sexual assault by dressing provocatively. They are asking to be looked at by dressing provocatively. There's no doubt in that. And if you're honestly going to say, yeah, I walk around in booty shorts all day, but I'm not tacitly inviting men to look at me or inviting anybody to look at me to show off my female form. If you're going to argue that, well, then then okay, all right, fine then. Yeah, sure. Enjoy your society, have it. But I want to live in a society where, yeah, you can't go around touching underage girls. That's just not cool. Can't do it. Can't do it. Wrong. Okay. But I also want, and you can't have imagery, or you can even be labeled a sexual pervert if you look too long or look with too narrow of an eye. You can be labeled a sexual pervert, and I'm sure there's some kind of bullshit arrest that can be conjured up for even that. Sexual lewdness, public lewdness, whatever. You can be labeled a criminal for looking at something that you cannot touch. But nobody is going to that thing that you cannot touch if you are past a certain biological age. Nobody's going to that group and saying, hey, come here. We're going to protect you. But you can't walk around. You can't walk around showing this off. What the fuck? You're inviting people to think about things and to think about doing things which will put them in fucking prison. You are inviting that. It is entrapment. After a matter of speaking, as far as looking, again, the hard line gets drawn at touching. When speaking strictly about looking, it's entrapment, because were it not for you in the booty shorts, I would not have looked. There was nothing for me to look at, but you walk around in the booty shorts with the and it's a big fucking gigantic neon sign saying, look at me and my ass. And you say, hey, what are you looking at? Why do you look at that? Stop looking at that. That's not cool. You can't look at it. And it's just, it's not explicitly anti-male. It's not explicitly anti-male. That's not what I'm trying to say. However, the larger point is that we have allowed trying to prevent very real crimes, but we have allowed whatever you want to call it, women's liberation, you want to call it feminism, whatever. But because I know feminism, people say, oh, feminism is male and no, because it's called feminism, all right? Don't try to spin me that bullshit about, oh, well, real feminism. That's just a no true Scotsman bullshit. Get that shit out of here. Feminism is the gender equivalent of affirmative action or of hiring quotas. That's all it is. That's what it is. And to say feminism is including equal rights for males viewed relative to women is the same thing as saying, well, affirmative action is also really about giving white people equal access to education, housing, jobs, whatever. It's not. It's not. In practice, first of all, the fucking name very clearly draws a line in the sand. I'll let you guess which side that's on. But it also, in practice, it's one-sided. It's female towards male. Not male towards female, female towards male, bringing women up or bringing women up by bringing men down. That's all it's been. It's all about bringing women up. It has nothing to do with getting men to the proper. If there's any other facet of our society in which men are below women, it's not about bringing men up. Don't give me that. And not that it's inherently wrong. However, when we have allowed that, we have allowed feminism, we have allowed women's lib to be implicitly anti-male. It's implicitly anti-male. We have a subversive anti-male society. Because all of a sudden now, a 17-year-old can be arrested for child pornography when his 15-year-old girlfriend was the first one to take illicit photos of herself and send them to him. And he was arrested for having those photos and taking pictures of himself. And it's just, what the fucking seriously? And that woman not charged. We live in a society where sexual assault, even the mere allegation of sexual assault, is ruinous to somebody's life. And who does the most alleging of sexual assault? Who does it? And despite the lack of actual rape convictions, we even allow, and I look at this all the time whenever the topic of rape comes up, and people start giving statistics about the number of rapes that aren't reported. And I say, how in the fuck do you know that? How in the fuck is that a real statistic? How in the fuck does anybody hear that and go, only 2% of rape cases are actually reported, and of those 2%, there's only a conviction 30% of the time. And I say, first of all, who the fuck is so wait, now we have to have equal conviction rates? Now the very fact that not all rape cases brought to trial result in convictions is a problem? What? So we should just throw out the justice system then. Just throw it all out and say 100%. If you're accused of rape and they bring charges, we just convict you, and that's the way. That'll make you happy. That's how it's supposed to be. Really? We just get rid of get rid of the justice system. Get rid of it. This gone, because all that matters is equal results. That's all that matters. Equal results, equal convictions. That's all that we really care about. What? Ha? And on top of that, usually it's the big swinger. This is the big statistic that, I don't know, rape culture, I guess. Can you be pro-rape culture? I guess they're pro the idea that rape culture exists. And they're like, yeah, look at rape culture. Rape culture, people that want to propagate it say, well, a stunning percentage of rape cases rapists are never even arrested or charged with a crime. And I ask, and nobody asks. I see these things happen all the time on Reddit and comment sections of articles and on news stories all the time where they have this idea of rape culture, and people throw around whatever the number is. They say this percentage of actual rapes are never even reported or brought to trial. And I say, how the fuck do you know that an actual rape occurred then? How do you know? Isn't rape a crime? Isn't that a legal definition? Rape? I like rape. You put down rape twice. I like rape. Isn't it a legal definition? Don't you say, you have been convicted, you are charged with rape. Rape is defined in the statutes as this. You've done that. We've convicted you of that. You are now a rapist. But to look and just say, well, there's an unreported number of rapes that happen all the time and that are never convicted or never even brought to trial, and the rapists aren't even charged. Well, then they're not fucking rapists. How do you have any semblance of confidence in these bullshit numbers? Did you know that the majority of winning blackjack hands are never even dealt? Did you know that? What? These people we've allowed, because we are talking about protecting women and that idea, and we all have this notion protecting women, especially protecting children, female children, and there's all these noble intents, but they result in nonsensical fucking things. The idea of prosecuting rapists is noble, but when there's an entire movement around that and vilifying rape, and it's like, well, I thought rape was already vilified. That's why it's a crime. Do we need more of this? And they say, yeah. And I say, why? Because we need to protect women. I say, okay, why isn't this good enough? They say, well, because a stunning number of rapes don't even go to trial. Rapists aren't even arrested. And people just spout bullshit like that. And they're okay with it. Yeah. And then I'm the asshole because I raise my hand. I say, excuse me. How do you know that those are rapes then? What? The woman says she was raped? So it is now completely impossible for a woman to lie about being raped. If we're going by the conviction rates, whatever they are, of the rapes reported and rapists arrested on rape charges or sexual assault charges, if we're going to go by conviction rates to get an idea, a fuzzy idea of the amount of false sexual assault charges, because unless you're going to argue that women would never falsely accuse a man or another woman of sexual assault, unless you're going to argue that, what the fuck? Unless you're going to argue that, well, then we have to go to the conviction rates to try to find out if there's any, to even get a semblance of an idea of the amount of false rape charges. And guess what? If we apply that to the amount of rapes supposedly that go unreported, and we just apply that, well, then there's a whole lot of unreported false rape shit. Women would, if somebody would listen to them, they would report a false rape. There's a lot of that. But we can't talk about that. Oh, no. It's just, no, we have to assume that every unreported, every unalleged rape charge is 100% accurate. 1,000% accurate. What? We've allowed an originally noble idea to run amok, and now women can dress scantily, walk around in public, and then vilify men for looking at them or leering at them. And you're pro-rape culture because you don't want to just convict rapists out of hand. You want a trial by a jury of their peers, and what you don't even know is that there's a bunch that don't even go reported. And they say, how do you know they're rapes? And then they're like, oh, you're an asshole. What the fuck are we doing? All right, let's do some news, shall we? Before we get out of here. We got a lot to talk about in the news today as we head into the home stretch of the Lefty Show. Reporter stopped by a TSA agent did not know, or a reporter stopped by TSA agent who didn't know District of Columbia is in the U.S. Well, in meth news, there was a meth head doing her best poltergeist impression. The U.S. government says online storage isn't protected by the Fourth Amendment, and protesters in Michigan walking around with AR-15s and handguns to protest the refugee status of some Central American teenagers. And if we have time, there's some Israelis watching bombs falling on Palestine. It's the news at Lefty. Let's talk about all the news and the things. Now, this is some big news in privacy. A lot of people talking about it. The U.S. government, this is from Engadget. The U.S. government says online storage isn't protected by the Fourth Amendment. A couple months ago, a New York judge ruled that U.S. search warrants applied to digital information even if they were stored overseas. The decision came about as part of an effort to dig up a Microsoft user's account information stored on a server in Dublin, Ireland. Microsoft responded to the ruling and challenged it, stating that the government's long-standing views of digital content on foreign servers are wrong and that the protections applied to physical material should be extended to digital content. In briefs filed last week, however, the U.S. government countered. It states that according to the Stored Communications Act, content stored online simply do not have the same Fourth Amendment protections as physical data. Quote, overseas records must be disclosed domestically when a valid subpoena, order, or warrant compels their production. The disclosure of records under such circumstances has never been considered tantamount to a physical search under the Fourth Amendment principles, and Microsoft is mistaken to argue that the SCA provides for an overseas search here. As there is no overseas search or seizure, Microsoft's reliance on principles of extraterritoriality and committee falls wide of the mark. From the Justice Department's point of view, the law is necessary in an age where fraudsters and hackers use electronic communications in not just the U.S. but abroad as well. Indeed, the Microsoft account in this case is in relation to a drug trafficking investigation. However, Microsoft believes that there are wide-ranging implications for such a statement, and it's not the only company that thinks so. Verizon also responded, stating that this would create a, quote, dramatic conflict with foreign data protection laws, end quote, and Apple and Cisco joined in by saying this could potentially damage international relations. In the meantime, a senior counsel for the Irish Supreme Court offered that a mutual legal assistance treaty be pursued so that the U.S. government can get the email account in question. Now, setting aside for a moment the notion of the international notion of this story, because what the U.S. court is talking about here, what the U.S. Department of Justice, I believe, is alleging, is that the laws or Fourth Amendment laws don't apply to data stored overseas, and that the federal government trying to compel Microsoft to hand over the account or hand over data relating to the account that is stored overseas is not a search because the data is stored overseas. Now, if we set that aside, there's a little bit here that's scary, okay? Because some people might say, oh, well, it just has to do with overseas, and they just, boop, click the brain off. This is the money. This is the money quote. It states that according to the Stored Communications Act, content stored online simply do not have the same Fourth Amendment protections as physical data. This is the U.S. government trying to sidestep the Fourth Amendment. So if we're assuming that the guy that owns or the girl that owns the email account that the data for which is stored on a server in Ireland doesn't mean necessarily that the guy is in Ireland. If we assume that the guy they're going after is an American citizen, this again becomes a Fourth Amendment question, not an international question. This is, does this guy, regardless of where his email is stored, does this U.S. citizen get Fourth Amendment protection as it applies to his digital mail, his email? And I say this a lot whenever stuff like this comes up. And I've even talked about it before with special interest groups and special legislation. We don't need, and a lot of people say, especially with the Edward Snowden stuff and the digital age, many people say we need to update the Constitution. We need to update our laws so that they reflect properly blah, 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 blah. Email is the same as mail and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I say no. We don't need that. We shouldn't need that, because to say that we do means that essentially it's the Wild West for the new frontier of technology. If we say, well, the fact that that email is electronic and it's stored on servers and not necessarily carried and it's not physical media necessarily, well, it's all different and we need to change the laws to update it. That means until we change the laws, it's the Wild West. It means that the constitutional protections do not apply until they are updated to reflect the new technology, the new medium, the new media. That's a necessary component of saying, well, we have to update to reflect changes in technology. And I say no, because it's very clear what the Fourth Amendment would say about electronic mail. and your right to be secure from unreasonable search and seizure, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, and blah, 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 blah. It's very clear. All you need to do is interpret the broad rights, the broad laws. We don't need very specific, narrow stuff. Legislation, or at least constitutional rights, don't need to be specifically and narrowly tailored. In fact, they're not. They're not for this exact reason. This is why. The right of the people to be secure in their homes, papers, and effects. Papers and effects, what are even effects? There's ambiguity built into it, the very idea of which is so that we can apply and interpret for a changing landscape. We don't need to cut into the heart of the founding document of our Constitution just to write in email or electronic mail or cell phone metadata or whatever. We don't need to do that. It's in there already. We just need to interpret it. That's what we have courts for, and that's what we have Supreme Courts for, and judicial review and all these concepts. We have it all. We don't need to start the rallying cry for specific legislation or updating the amendments. It's all there. If you read the Fourth Amendment, and understand not only what it's specifically talking about, but what it's trying to say, everything on cell phone metadata calls, electronic mail stored with Google or Verizon or whatever, all these things carried, it's very clear what the Fourth Amendment would say, what the Fourth Amendment should say, or how the Fourth Amendment should be interpreted to apply to these things. Because electronic mail is no different on some levels, or on the important levels, than paper mail. No different at all. Even though they are very clearly not the same thing, in terms of practical application, they are the exact same thing. And the Fourth Amendment very clearly applies to paper mail and papers and effects and all those things. And it also applies to electronic mail because, duh. Similarly, your data stored are papers and effects. If you've got papers locked away in your desk, the government needs a search warrant to compel you to open that desk, or to at least get you away from it so that they could get into it. They need a search warrant, and they need to establish probable cause and reasonable suspicion and all these things. And so if you've got if you've got an encrypted hard drive, even if that encrypted hard drive is stored in fucking Nova Scotia, you have Fourth Amendment protection over it. Just because it's stored online, just because it's part of the cloud, or just because it's stored on a server somewhere in the world, especially just because it's digital, does not mean it's any different. We don't need to update the laws. We don't need to update the Constitution. The Constitution is fine. We just need to interpret it better. In other news, speaking of interpreting the Constitution, I don't love the TSA. I couldn't even say that. I couldn't even get through saying that with a straight face. This is from WFTV.com, Dateline Orlando. It's something most students learn in elementary school. The United States is made up of 50 states and the District of Columbia. But Channel 9's Justin Gray found out it's a lesson that an Orlando agent with the Transportation Safety Administration seems to have missed. Gray, who lives in Washington, D.C., was flying out of Colorado International Airport when a TSA agent said Gray's District of Columbia driver's license wasn't a valid form of identification. Gray said his license is legal and up to date, but the TSA agent didn't seem to know what the District of Columbia was when Gray arrived at the security checkpoint over the weekend. When Gray handed the man his driver's license, the agent demanded to see Gray's passport. Grays told the agent that he wasn't carrying his passport and asked why he needed it. The agent said he didn't recognize the license. Gray said he asked the agent if he knew what the District of Columbia is, and after a brief conversation, Gray realized the man did not know. Gray was able to get through security and then stopped to complain to a TSA supervisor. Critics of the TSA said that what happened to Gray is a sign that the problems at TSA are bigger than just knowing geography. Quote, they simply have not been either applying or maintaining standards for good personnel, said Douglas Kidd with the National Association of Airline Passengers. Really? There's a National Association of Airline Passengers? passengers have an association now. They have a sort of union. What? A national, well, let's read that again. The National Association of Airline Passengers. I've been an airline passenger. Am I represented by these yokels? By these jokers? By these, hey, big stoker. I'm a member of the National Association of Airline Passengers. I'm a representative. What the not everybody needs an organization or representation or national or some association or national association. They're fucking airline passengers, you jackasses. What the, I mean, come on. Isn't that a little bit much? Isn't it a little bit much to have a National Association of Airline Passengers? You as an airline passenger have representation. And it is the National Association of Airline. Never in my life have I seen such a nothing displayed as a something. This is the National Association of Airline Passengers is a fucking nothing. It's a nothing. It's not an entity. It's not a thing. It's not a body. It's just a jerk me off circle jerk on a piece of paper so that a guy can get his name, so he can get emails and do interviews for a couple $100 a pop and justify his office. That's all it is. It's nothing. The National Association of Airline Passengers. What in the fuck do you think you're doing? Anyway, a TSA spokesman contacted Gray just minutes after he tweeted about the problem. He confirmed that a District of Columbia license is an acceptable form ID. Well, no fucking shit. Oh, just so you know, sir. Yes, of course, your District of Columbia license is acceptable. What in the these people, okay? These TSA asshole cocksuckers, pieces of shit, because they could say no, they don't. That means they're the first people to get hanged in public. You could have said no, but you don't. So you're going to be strung up by your neck, and so that everybody else sees and knows what the fuck is going on. They are federal agents. They are state actors. They are acting for the federal government. The TSA agents are making $15 an hour, whatever it is they do. Some of them are probably fucking illiterate. Fucking illiterate. And there's a guy who, I don't know this damn here District of Columbia is, but I got a mandate from the federal government that says I can deny you entry to this here airport, and I did not recognize this. It's the fucking District of Columbia. And this federal representative, I believe they're federal agents. This federal agent, well, I mean, they are acting in agency of the federal government, so I could semanticize and say, well, they're federal agents, ha ha ha, technically. But I believe they are classified as federal agents. They just don't have arrest power and all that stuff. They are employing people. They are tasked. They wrap themselves up in safety. We're going to protect you from the evil of terrorism and terror. And this is why you need to be exposed to dangerous X-ray. And yes, any amount of fucking X-ray is dangerous. There's no such thing as a safe dosage of X-ray. No such fucking thing exists. And this is why we have to feel up your genitals and the genitals of children without a warrant or probable cause or anything. This is why. Safety. And the motherfuckers don't even know the District of fucking Columbia. Nobody just, oh, I don't know who this is. Where's your passport? Boy, tell you what, boy, you better show me your passport right now or you're going to go straight to the rectal examination room. Let me tell you, they are not gentle. His name is Marv. He's been having a bad day. Bad couple weeks, matter of fact. His wife left him for another guy. A doctor used his mind to make profits or something. I don't even know what that shit's all about. But tell you what, suffice it to say, Marv is not having a good time. And you get in there and you got this attitude, boy, with your learned books and your District of Columbia bullshit. Marv is going to take a liking to you. And not the kind of liking to you that you want. He's going to take a liking to your butthole, and he is going to do some nasty things. Now, you better produce your passport right now, or you're going to go say hi to Marv and his speculum. Do you want to see Marv and his speculum, boy? No, you don't. Told you Marv's been having a bad day. And these people are just, and they wear the TSA, and they got the thing, and the TSA spokesman said, it makes you wonder what's going on, blah, 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 blah. A TSA spokesman told Gray that all of the TSA agents in Orlando are being shown copies of District of Columbia's driver's license. What? So they don't even fucking know. All of them don't know. They don't know. They say, oh, well, we're just showing them. We're showing them now. Now they know it's a thing. These are the people that supposedly keep the terrorists off the planes, and they don't know that the District of Columbia is a thing and can issue driver's licenses and all those things. They don't even know. It's just we because what are you going to do? We accept because what are you going to do? Are you going to knock it on a plane? Really? You got a job, you got to move, or you're going to, you've got a conference you've got to go to for your job. Are you really not going to get on a plane? I mean, we can spout on Twitter and Reddit all we want, all day long, about the atrocities committed and how could they do this under the guise of safety and cutting right into the heart of our civil liberties, and they're eroding our civil liberties, and this is so wrong, and it's bad, and it's wrong, and it's bad, and it's wrong, and it's bad, and we can say it all day long, but when the chips are down, are any of us not going to get on a plane? Are any of us really not going to get on a plane if there's money involved or if there's prospects of any kind involved? Are you really not going to get on a plane? No, you're not. You're just going to deal with it. You're just going to say, okay, fine. Fine, fuck it, I'll deal with it this time. You'll do it, it might even be begrudgingly. You might even do it begrudgingly and say, all right, okay, fine, I'm going to do it this time. But I'm still pissed off about it, and I'm not going to like it while I do it. You might even give the TSA guys some shit. You might be short with them, but you're still getting on the plane. You're still consenting to the search. You're still doing all this stuff. The real answer is to not do it anymore. To say no. Or just bum rush them. Get people together. Get a group of 50 or 100 people together. Shit, this could be some of that flash mob bullshit. Go to some liberal arts college. This is why I need to win the lottery, because here's what I do. I really need to win Powerball. Not that, 20 million bullshit. I need a couple $100 million. And I'll clear probably $100 million easy. If you win the $300 million jackpot after paying taxes and taking the lump sum, you're probably clearing close to $100 million. That's what I need. Because I'd go to a bunch of liberal arts colleges or performing arts colleges in populated cities throughout America. Chicago, New York, LA, Dallas, all over the place. Some of the biggest airports in the world are in the United States. And I'd find all performing arts colleges around there, and I'd go and I'd take auditions. And here's what I would do. I would buy them all valid plane tickets. They would all have valid plane tickets in their names, and they'd have proper identification. And they will all go, and we're talking 100 in airport. Shit, maybe 200, right? We're playing with house money here. I got a couple $100 million in the bank. And you send them all to respective airports on one day. You coordinate it for one day. And they all just fucking bum rush the TSA. Just rush through them. And they just run. TSA agents, I don't believe, have guns. So they just run. Just run through. Or if you don't want to do that because while the TSA agents might not have guns, there are certainly people at airports that do have guns, and it might be performance art, but the people with guns aren't going to know that or care. So then what you do is you send your 100 people. You send your 100 people to the airport, and you tell them to just not move. All of them go through security, and just have them make trouble. Say no, I'm not submitting to this X-ray scanner, or have them wear fucking chainmail or something, and then have them go through the X-ray scanner, and just hold up security for hours, delays. Everybody behind them misses their flights. That's what needs to happen. Or we need to elect some people who will say, or who have the balls to say, the idea of safety is not as important. Certainly not more than important. Probably not even close to as important as individual liberties as laid forth in the founding document. This is not that important. They're certainly not more important than this, because this is all bullshit. Because when the guy that's feeling up genitals of children doesn't even, and is doing it for their safety, but doesn't even fucking know that the District of Columbia exists, something's wrong. Something's really, really, really wrong. And where the TSA knows it's such a widespread problem that an entire faction of airport TSA agents have to take classes on what the fuck the District of Columbia is, something's very wrong. So it's either a flash mob of fucking with people, and also I get a lot of money as a result. So I'm in favor of that idea. Mark me down for that. Or we elect some people, and we as a society have to come to terms with the notion that your personal safety is not more important than any of the numbered bullet points on our founding document. You are not as your personal safety, and yes, your consciousness, the very consciousness that allows you to hear my voice and understand what I'm saying and understand inflection and understand tone, the very consciousness that is making you angry or happy or sad right now is not more important than those founding documents, than those ideals. If we are to believe that we are the best country, USA is the best USA. Democracy, democratic republic is the best way to go about it. Rule of law, individual liberties, accountability for government. We have to know. We all have to know, and we all have to say, we personally, our personal consciousness is not more important than those ideals. And they're not. And we've allowed ourselves to become too self-important, because that's how people play on safety. If you've got a bunch of people that don't view their individual lives as important, it's going to be very hard to leverage fear against them. But we're all important because, I've got this job, or, I'm going to this school, I'm going to this prestigious college, or I'm going to, and I'm so important. That leads to, I know technically I have the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure without a warrant or even probable cause, but there's dangerous people out there. So, okay, I'll give away that right. I'll give away that right here, and okay, and there too. Okay, and then there too, and here, I guess. Okay, but no more. Okay, no, that one. Okay, yeah, that too. That's what happens. We become too self-important, and this is a result. So either we accept it, or we accept that we are not as important as we believe ourselves to be. All right, let's bring it home. Woo, another great edition of The Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining. I had a great time. I hope you did as well. I hope you had a great time listening. Thank you to everybody for watching, liking, favoriting, and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go to find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show with friends, family, and coworkers. Go to leftyshow.podbean.com to subscribe to the RSS feed, or search The Lefty Show on your Android podcasting app. And thank you to everybody that's been subscribing on iTunes, climbing the charts, number 16 on the comedy charts as of right now. Go to the iTunes store, search The Lefty Show, find us there, and subscribe there if you please. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. imraising.com/643 Productions. Follow me on Twitter at Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest news on The Lefty Show and my musings in between shows. That's it. That's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. I'm out. Bye. Everybody has affinity for cock.